Now this is a unicorn. This is, you know, I guess what we're really driven towards, given the ESG potential here. So what we found is, given the nature of the ore, which is the mineralisation is dominantly chalcocite, which is 80% copper, so very, very high grade. And the coarseness of it is that we found by simply crushing it down and then sorting it through ore sorting or using other beneficiation techniques, we could make a very high grade direct shipping ore opportunity. So that means there's no tailings dam, there's no reagents, there's simple crushing, screening. It's like a limestone quarry down the road. So what that is for us is obviously this very low footprint, very low cost, and potentially very high margin development opportunities. So that's what we're driven towards. This is the unicorn. And look, when you're up in that part of the world, I think not being able to having to permit a tailings dam and all the things that go with a traditional flotation plant, this is the way to go. We've shown that ore sorting can work. We're now working on and ore sorting only works down to a certain size range. So we're now coming down that and taking it all the way down to 1 to 2 millimetres to be able to process most of the ore body. So really fascinating. It is really exciting for us. And look, this is something also that, you know, we don't need a major to come in with this. The kind of capital that this requires, we could, you know, walk around the room here and probably put that money together. And that's the exciting thing, because we think we've got the team to do it. And we don't need the support of the majors. Last year we had a very successful year defining the maiden resource and just showing that Storm is a significant copper project, but we're actually accelerating that this year. So what have we got? Storm, we put our maiden resource out this year in January. We put 200,000 tonnes of copper on the books in 8 weeks of drilling. So that really highlights 95% of our drill holes hit copper. And you can see the ore body split over 4 different ore bodies at this point. But there's fantastic upside exploration potential. Again, I'll talk to this picture. A picture tells 1,000 words. Some key points here is that this is remote and it's far north. But if you've worked in Australia, you're familiar with fly-in and fly-out operations. So no one lives here and never have. Well, here there's not even a blade of grass. There's no ants. We have 500 metres of permafrost. And that means, obviously, it's very, very well ESG credentialed in terms of we don't have to cut forest down to get drill rigs in and all that. It makes open exploration, etc., very easy to do. So it's highly accessible. And the other thing to point here is that we've got a good relationship with the Resolute community. It is a very good place to operate, and a lot of Australian investors actually wonder why, how do you work up there? You know, you're too far north, you'll never get out of the ground. Well, there's 8 operating mines in Northwest Territories and Nunavut today. A lot of those are diamond and gold, so they can fly their product out, obviously. But you'll see where we sit, it's in the archipelago up there. We're on the coast. It's a regular sea lift route. It's ice-free 3 to 4 months of the year. You can access it in other times with an icebreaker. Very well, I guess it's a tier 1 mining jurisdiction, which is, I guess, overlooked. The other thing to point out here and talk about M&A is that recently, where the little ship is and the islands at the very north, BHP's just staked a major position there. So what this means, and I having worked for BHP, particularly in the exploration, means they don't go there unless they've got access to market and whether they consider their giant discovery potential. So they see this as the next frontier for them in terms of copper. And they're quite publicly said, look, we're looking for porphyry, sediment-hosted copper, and nickel sulfide. I want to talk about focus in the interest of time on Storm and Seal, but mostly Storm, which is a copper asset in far north Canada. This is essentially what the core looks like from Storm and how the mineralisation forms in the rock. So a couple of key points here is very coarse grained, and that has significant metallurgical and processing benefits, which I'll talk to. This is what it looks like, very amenable to open pit mining. 100% of the resource is sulfide and 100% of it's open pittable. So these kind of grades, you know, it ranks amongst the highest, you know, open pittable copper grades globally. You can see there's 2 distinct, I guess, domains to the mineralisation. There's the higher plus 1.5% copper, but also the red, which is the lower grade material. Now this pit was done on a $3.75 copper price. As today, obviously, so, and that was highly economic at that point. But you can see here it's open in every direction. You can see some of the intersections on the margins. One of our focuses this year is to grow this significantly. And what I mean in terms of growth, so the copper here, particularly in the high grade, responds really well to geophysics. So it's hosted in dolomite, it's copper sulfide, so two very clear, I guess, contrast in terms of the geophysical properties. So what we found is that all these red and yellow dotted lines are geophysical expressions. And most of them don't have drilling in them. Where we do have drilling, you consider them the discoveries last year, Thunder and Lightning Ridge, they're two new zones. You can see there we hit 50 metres at 3% copper. That included 20 metres at 6% copper. And also Lightning Ridge was about 30 metres at 2.1% copper. There's no resources, they're not part of the resource. Another one we're following up and we're drilling as we speak is this gap area, which has got 2 and 4% copper there. That's a really big anomaly, we're drilling that today. So lots of news flow coming, but this is the immediate storm area. We believe there's significant resource growth potential here. But that's essentially 5% of the belt. So you can see storm is that little dot now. We have over 100 kilometres of prospective horizon. Tornado and blizzard, we have copper gossan sticking out of the ground. That's 10 kilometres down the track. Identical geology to storm. The other interesting one, we have Tempest, which is about 70 kilometres south. We visited last year. We've identified copper and zinc anomalies over 4 kilometres. Sticking out of the ground, essentially rust-coloured rocks going for 4 kilometre. It's interesting there, it actually sits with this zinc horizon we have as well, which is what the Seal zinc deposit sits in. Seal's a very high-grade zinc deposit, 10.5% zinc, 50 grams silver. Now, storm, why is it different? There's copper and then there's copper. So there's the porphyry, which we've just learnt about today. There's also the VMS, which we've talked about today. But this is sedimentary hosted copper, so that has the benefits of having very high grades, but also the size potential. We think we've hit the tip of the iceberg literally because we drilled 4 deep holes below Cyclone last year. Most of them were about a couple of kilometres apart. Every single hole hit copper at the same stratigraphic horizon, which is about 270 to 320 vertical metres. Now, we might think we're good geologists, but that's, statistically impossible to do. No, we didn't have any thick economic intersections, but we did hit economic style mineralisation up to 2% copper. So 4 holes, 15 square kilometres, there's more down there. I'm essentially an exploration geologist, and we want to show the growth potential of this belt. Lots of development work going on in the background as well. So mining studies, we've already got a mining schedule on the existing resource. We've got all the project development, airfields, ports and stuff being designed. Economic studies as well. We're very advanced with the environmental work. We did a season last year. We're doing a season this year. If we go to put out a PFS level study at the back end of this year, we'll already have 18 months of environmental work up front. And we think all of these things are really going to give American West Metals a transformational change. We will expand the belt. This is 10 to 15 years exploration potential here. But if we can get cash flow as soon as we can with a developing mine, that'll fund that for us. So that's it in a nutshell. We have $10.7 million in the bank. So very well funded to move this forward. Market capitalisation about 75 million, and a team which you can look at after this in interest of time that includes a couple of people working with BHP, and Dan Locker, our chairman, was the managing director of Western Areas, Australia's second largest nickel producer. So we have the team, the money, and the project.